Hi, my name is Kinsey, and today I want to share a story with you about how my most traumatic event ever actually helped me become my most empowered version of myself ever. This is something I've wanted to share for a really long time, but I just have not been ready until now. This is one of those stories that I think could really help somebody out there, hopefully a couple people. I think that sometimes hearing somebody else's story can really help kickstart your healing journey or help you along the way. I do want to give a brief trigger warning because this story does mention domestic violence and I don't want to trigger or upset anybody, so if that's something that isn't easy for you to listen to, maybe go watch a different video. This one isn't for you, but I would love to see you in another video. So to preface this story, I have always been the type of person who has to be dating somebody, couldn't be single. I always craved validation and acceptance and needed that reassurance of another person. I am also the type of person who consistently attracted the wrong type of person. Always people who were toxic, people similar to my father. That was a father wound that I have, which is a story for another video, but always alcoholics, emotionally abusive, emotionally not there for you. Consistently a pattern in men that they just were not very good partners. Another thing that I now know is that there was a lot of generational trauma there because I had these patterns and my mother had these patterns and her mother had these patterns of being with the wrong men and working way too hard and, all of these things that just made me an easy target for the wrong type of people. So fast forward, I started dating somebody. I was a single mom. I had 2 amazing sons and I started dating somebody, and in the beginning everything was great, as it always is, until I was in too deep in the relationship. That's when the red flags started showing up. But I was not a strong enough person within myself. I didn't have enough self-respect. I didn't love myself enough to be able to walk away. And in my mind, I rationalized it by saying I wanted to give my kids a dad and they loved him and he loved them. So I rationalized all of these things that he was doing, the ways that he was mistreating me. And we stayed and we were together for 4 years. About halfway through that 4 years, we actually ended up having twins together. And so I now have 4 children. Fast forward some more. We're in a very toxic relationship. Very toxic. I mean, fighting every single day. And I'm not going to get into the deepest of details on here, but it was horrible. I was in fight or flight every day. I was still, even though he was very, very mean to me, calling me names every day, belittling me and making me feel horrible about myself, I was still doing all of these things to try to get his acceptance. I was still packing him lunches and cleaning the house and doing these little things to try to make him happy. It makes no sense in hindsight, but when you're in a toxic relationship like that, it makes sense to you. Over time, things were progressively getting worse. Walking on eggshells, feeling more and more tense, things just were not getting better. We ended up moving. Then I really felt like my freedom was gone. Because before we lived in my apartment, he had moved into my apartment. So I still at least had that. I didn't hang out with my friends ever. I had no family really. I had no anything. But when I gave up my apartment and we moved into a house together, I really just gave everything up. And so the couple months that we lived in that apartment were absolute hell. I was so depressed and we were fighting even more than ever, and it was the toxic mind games and it was just very awful. And this video isn't about that relationship, and I'm just gonna kind of breeze past it. But needless to say, I was in a very broken place. And the night that it all ended, I'm going to just skim over, but I'm gonna say that it ended very abruptly. It ended in severe domestic violence. It was, for me, a near-death experience. And within that, I will say that I had what I can only describe as a spiritual awakening. That's the only way that I can describe it. As I was laying there, I got a calling, and I just kind of saw every situation that I've survived in my life, because I put myself in a lot of not great situations throughout my life, and I just saw every bad situation that I could have lost my life kind of play out like a film strip. And kind of crossing over that film strip is all of the spiritual kind of consciousness-based things that I've learned recently. Because in the last few months of my relationship, I really dove into spirituality and learned a lot. And they kind of crossed over, and I kind of got this overwhelming feeling like, this is why you're still here. You're still here. You have survived because you're here to help others to overcome their traumas and become stronger. And I just had this overwhelming feeling that there's a reason that I have survived everything. And I wasn't 100% sure what it was, but I knew that there was a reason. So, long story short, I survived that night. It was dramatic, it was terrible, it was awful, but we move forward. There's a lot of healing there. I went through a traumatic event, and B, I started processing all of these traumas. I started realizing, why was I craving acceptance? And why was I continuously doing that over and over and over again with all of these same people? But so then I went down this deep rabbit hole of healing. And it was hard because I'm a single mom who now I had to leave the home because it wasn't my family's home, it was his family's home. So I'm a single mom with 4 children, healing from this traumatic event, now single. I'm also going through a breakup at this time. And I'm having all of these epiphanies. I mean, I'm not kidding you, like left and right, like realizing like this was a mother wound, like, this chasing after men who don't love you, like I get that from my mom, that's a mother wound. And I'm it's also a father wound because they're just like my father, and like that's, it was the biggest eye-opening experience I've ever had. And out of all of it, the biggest thing that I had realized was that I didn't love myself, and that I was looking for this love and acceptance. We can go down why I choose the men I do and, all of those things, but it comes down to I was chasing love outside of myself, and I was never going to get it because I didn't love myself. I didn't respect myself, and I didn't love myself. And until I sat with that and healed that and really learned to love myself, I was never going to receive that love from anybody else. You're never going to get it externally. You're still going to be hurt by these people and chasing the wrong people until you heal that within yourself. Whatever energy that you radiate from yourself is what you're going to attract back. So when you don't fully, truly love yourself, you're not going to radiate that out, and you're like a magnet. Your energy is like a magnet. So whatever you're putting out is what's going to come back to you. And when I made that realization, that was like the biggest mind-blowing moment for me, because I was like, damn, I really get it now. I get it, and it's you can't just choose to start loving yourself, especially when, it goes very deep. There's so many reasons why people don't love themselves. It goes past when you can even remember. So then that started the journey of, okay, well, how do I love myself? Because I want to, but I've gone through all of these traumas, and there's all these blocks, and I'm trying. Healing wasn't just healing my mind. I couldn't just heal my mind, overcoming these traumas and these, hard events and these mother wounds and these father wounds and healing my inner child and all of these things. You can't just heal your mind. And I learned that you also have to heal your body. That was a big thing for me because trauma is stored in the body. And that takes a long time. Breath work was a huge one for me, somatic breath work. But it takes more than just once, and you can't do it very often. But that was really helpful for me, was the somatic breath work, because you can release so much stored energy and emotion, especially if you've never been able to really show your emotion. I grew up in a home where we weren't really able to express our emotion very much. So I had I still do have a lot of pent up emotion, and somatic breath work is really, really helpful for that. Also, getting into a routine every morning was so helpful for me. The book Atomic Habits by James Clear was super helpful for me. Habits are so impactful in your life, and you wouldn't think that making small changes can be that impactful, but it really, really can. You know, I started doing yoga the first thing every morning. I started waking up earlier. I was getting up at like 5:30, which I still do. First thing I did was yoga, and then I started incorporating like 10 minutes of Pilates, and it just made the biggest difference in my life. So that was super, super helpful with healing from all of this. Meditation was also super helpful. Becoming more mindful, because I knew that I had nobody to lean on. You know, I had a couple of friends, but really I had nobody. I had my 4 babies that were depending on me, and I had myself, and I knew that I had to become, you know, as somebody who was formerly super codependent, I had to become dependent on myself, and that was huge. So becoming super mindful, meditating, and becoming my own rock was so important. The more that I did this inner work, the more that I, you know, practiced the mindfulness, did my morning habits, practiced meditating, worked with my inner child, worked on my mother and father wounds, you know, really consistently worked on myself, the more that these other feelings of doubt and loss of identity, they were gone eventually. I mean, it took a while, but now I have like this really good core sense of who I am, and we're coming up on a year since this happened, and it has been the most insane journey that I've ever been on, but I truly don't think that I would be where I am now if this never happened. I think that I would still be stuck, if not in that toxic relationship, probably in another one, but more than likely in that same toxic relationship, still miserable, walking on eggshells, still having my feelings hurt every day, still trying to get him to validate my feelings all the time, still pouring my heart out, feeling like I'm talking to a brick wall every day. I don't think that anything would have changed. And now I feel like I have completely metamorphosized into this goddess of a human being, and I'm so grateful for this experience. As crazy as it sounds, I'm so grateful that that happened. All of this to say that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've went through, no matter how hard it was, there's a reason. No matter what you think, I guarantee you, as hard as it is and as bad as it seems, I promise you, you are going to be so much stronger, and it is going to turn you into the strongest, most amazing, beautiful human, and you're going to be able to help so many other people because of it. Stepped into my power of being my rock, loving myself, respecting myself, and really just being there and showing up for myself every morning, whether I wanted to or not, showing up and showing myself that I could do it every day. No matter how tired I was, I showed up. And it just was so empowering. Over time, I got stronger and stronger, and like saw the changes in my body and just became this strong person. And that's not to say that, you know, oh, this was this easy journey. It definitely was up and down. Healing is not a linear thing, and I'm not trying to make it sound like some easy, oh, it was this beautiful journey that I went on. It definitely wasn't. I cried a lot. I had a lot of hard times. It was not easy at all, and it's still not easy. Healing is a never-ending journey. Like, you're never going to be completely healed, but you're never going to start healing if you don't just start. You can't run from this forever, you know. The universe brings everything back to you until you heal it. So if you keep dating these men and you break up with one, you're going to get another one until you heal the wound of why you keep dating these men. And that can be really dangerous. Like, I dated them until I almost lost my life. So, like, you know, I needed to heal that, and I'm grateful that I was able to get the chance to do that. And now I'm given the chance to help others see these things and help others heal those wounds within themselves. And I am so proud and so excited to be starting this journey where I get to do this you know, when this happened, I would absolutely consider this to be the rock bottom of my life, if not one of the rock bottoms of my life, because there's been a few. I've been on a journey. But that rock bottom became, you know, the new starting point for me. That was the new foundation. That was where I'm going to start and rebuild my entire life. My new world is starting now. And yeah, it's been really hard. It has been so hard. But I have a beautiful life ahead of me. I am working on so many things, and life is going to just continue to get better because I know how to create the life that I want now. I know how to make life better. I know what I'm willing to accept, and most of all, I know how to love myself. And now I know how to teach other people how to love themselves too. So, if you gained anything from this video, please give it a like. I hope that I was able to help you with at least a little bit today. If you'd like to follow along on my journey, I would love to help inspire you along my journey. Thank you for holding the space for me today. I hope that I will see you in the next one. Thank you. I love you, and I will see you next time.